In progress.
All right. I'm going to give everybody a couple of seconds to get on and we're going to get started. Denise, can you say something so we make sure we can hear you?
Hello, hello.
All right.
I
Good.
can hear you.
All right. Perfect. You never know anymore with the audio. All right. Well, it's exactly 10. So whoever else joins us, I'm sure people will start popping up along the way. So today, a couple of things. We're going to, as I said in the chat, we're going to let everybody kind of do our thing that we do on Dominate Your Week. And I am recording this one like I did last week, because at the end, we're going to discuss things about dual career people. Like last week, we did a little bit of dot loop training the last half hour. So this will be uploaded into the dot loop memory, which will go to Legacy Group Guide, and we'll figure out how we'll get it to the other offices to be able to put on your internal sites as well. Anyway, I'm going to jump in and let Kate start with us this morning and share her graphic. But let me also remind you guys that class this week is at Legacy at 11. It's 11 to 12. And on Zoom, and then in person at the other two locations. And we're going to be going over some Glover tips to be able to have a successful second half of your year. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. All right, let me turn it over to Kate and I will do a share screen here. Kate, tell us what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So the graphic today is definitely a little bit different than what we usually do. It's a little bit more like cutesy, more fun for back to school. I think it's really important when you're marketing yourself to kind of play into what's going on in the real world outside of the real estate season. So I've seen lots of parents post that their kids are going back to school this week and next week. This is really just a fun way to remind people that you're a realtor and you're looking for referrals. So this one's super easy, pretty straightforward. I don't think I have to do any explanation other than that. A couple quick things that are going on in the mortgage world that I would love to share with everybody. We did our DPA class last week, and for those who don't know, a DPA program is a down payment assistance program. There's not only DPA programs through the state of Ohio, but specifically through Cross Country Mortgage as well. I think a big kind of caveat to a DPA program is people think that they can only use them if really they have no money, which is just not the case. So I wanted to share a really cool story about one of our cross country mortgage down payment assistance programs that I think is really cool. So I had a buyer come to me. It was a second opinion. So they were actually approved with Huntington, and they said that they got a really cool program called 0% down. And all they had to do was pay $4,000 in closing costs. So I thought to myself, $4,000 in closing costs is an awful lot. Specifically coming from a bank. And when I asked, well, what are you approved for? They actually had no idea of their total payment that they were going to be paying. They didn't know anything other than it was going to be 0% down. And so when I did some investigating, what they're actually referring to is a down payment assistance program. And it was specifically through OFA. But when I looked at their financial profile, I realized that they were qualified for our cross country mortgage smart start. So we got them $4,000 at closing. Completely covered. It's not a grant like OFA is. If anyone's familiar with Ohio's OFA program, essentially it's a second mortgage that you put on your house, and you have to live in the house a certain amount of time before you can actually live there free and clear. Cross country mortgage is a true gift. So this isn't a grant. It's essentially free $4,000 that you get at closing that goes towards your down payment. And we were able to get them $6,000 in seller concessions. So altogether we had $10,000. Their down payment wasn't even that much. So we were able to take about $3,000 to $4,000 and apply it to buying down their rate. So they had $0 when they came to the closing table, and we were able to buy down their rate to under 7. which really set this buyer up for exactly what they were looking for. They didn't want to pay any money out of pocket, and they wanted to lower their monthly payment. So this program allowed us to do so. So I definitely just highly encourage you guys, if you have buyers right now that want to save up to $4,000, really they should be reaching out to Jessica and I, or even to Cliff. The program is really, really great, and it really is helping people get into a way better financial situation, monthly payment wise, down payment wise, all the things. So wanted to share that, and if you guys have any questions about any of our TPA programs, you can always let me know.
That's awesome. Anybody have any questions for Kate, or lending questions overall on Zoom or here in the room? Now is your chance. Okay, quiet bunch of non-faces. So thank you for those who have your camera on. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Kate. Well, let's just dive right in, because I'm going to use that last half hour today to talk about managing your time with real estate, in particular to dual career people. But I would say this before we tag onto that at the end. I myself could be considered a dual career person. Why do you think that would be? Anybody?
Coaching.
Right. I coach full time, and I sell real estate full time. And I'm a full-time wife, mom, grandma, and I do all the things. So I actually I put 100% into coaching. I put 100% into my personal life, and I put 100% into my real estate. Maybe I put 75% into my real estate right now. But either way, I am doing, and we all, even if we only do real estate, we still have a life, and we still have other things that we're doing, and it's not just real estate. So there is no genius answer to this question about dual career people, but we're going to go into your questions and dive into what that might look like, and how you can weed real estate throughout your day, and week into that as well. All right, I will go ahead and get started here. So Dane, tell us what's going on with you this week.
Really just working on my 30, 60, 90. And,
Perfect.
brother and sister, we're trying to figure out some loan stuff for them to start looking at houses again.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then have you got them set up in a search on the MLS?
No, because we're still just seeing if the loan can get through.
So I would still say this, so that brings up a good point. So when we have a buyer, whether it's someone that is related to us, or someone we met at open house, or somebody that we just got online or wherever, even if they are working on some things to be able to do it in 3 months or 6 months, we still want to have that connect with them. And the connect is the houses, right? And different touches along the way, because you never know when something could change. But also this, they need to start to get an idea of what's available as it happens, and as new listings come on the market, even though it's not time to go look at them. So what I mean by that is, we still keep our people set up in a search, even if they're not buying right now, because it starts to educate them on what their money will buy them when they see the things hit the market. So I can show you later, after class, if you want, how to set up a search on the MLS, so that they can get listings automatically. So you don't have to send it to them. You'll just go on the MLS and set up an auto search based on a range of area and price range. And this way they can still stay up to date. And if they don't want to look at them, they don't have to look at them. Like, I have people that are under contract and they still want their search coming to them. I even keep their search set up sometimes, and I just change it based on the criteria of the house that they did in fact close on, because then it gets them basically a weekly market snapshot of what the values of the property are. And some people just like looking at houses online, and we want to keep them off of Zillow. We want them looking at our site. Also, it's another great way of keeping you top of mind. Once these people turn into past clients, you want them to think of you, because you're still sending them stuff. So that's why we want to get them set up. So we can do that right after. Good to see you. Tell us what's going on with you.
I'm finishing up some handwritten cards.
Okay, good.
I just did a showing, so I'm gonna set them up on the MLS, because they're not really, it's more like they are very specific. They don't need to move right now, but like,
Okay.
once they find it, they're willing to, so get them set up. And
So the good thing about buyers like that, I have some that are like been years and years and years. But I would say this is that when the right thing does hit, they're ready to immediately pull the trigger. So that's great news. Well, good. So you're writing handwritten note cards to who?
My sphere, I did, the football calendars
Okay.
there that she's talking about, so.
Yeah.
Setting out some notes, and then I'm gonna do, like a small neighborhood.
Mhm.
Start out like 25.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, good. Tell us, Jeff, what's going on with you?
Calling for sale by owners,
How's that going?
doing a lot, good-ish. I've had,
Good-ish.
I've had so many people cancel stuff on me
Yeah.
the last couple weeks, I'm starting to realize as I like talk to more and more leads, the ratio, I don't know if it's my fault or is it, or I think that's just how it is, the lead like to actual. Transaction ratio is so tiny. Like I talk to so many people and like 2 hours before they cancel, oh no.
Better that they cancel than no show you.
Right.
Yeah.
I've had that happen once at a showing, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy I was telling you about with the for sale by owner with the listing that I thought was too high priced, he canceled on me like 2 hours before,
Okay.
he told me he wants to wait till spring, but. Yeah, I told him we'll just stay in touch and,
Yeah.
you know, make that happen.
But I like that you're looking at the numbers. So again, how many calls does it take to get how many appointments? And then your job is how many appointments can I get? And then how many appointments can I keep? And sometimes that just isn't out of your control, right? So then when someone cancels, I immediately reschedule. Let's reschedule. And even if he says I'm not going to list till spring, then what it is this. Fantastic. Did you know that real estate spring starts in February? So let's get ahead of the rest of the market. How about if I can come out February 1st? Let's get that on. Let's pencil it in right now. Don't worry, I'll call and confirm, get it on the books. It's a commitment. And then in their mind, when other agents are, you know, maybe following up with them too, that they came encounter with, he knows he has a level of commitment because he's scheduled an appointment.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, I didn't think to do that, so I might have to reach back out. Set something up.
Yeah. Awesome. What other kinds of things? So are you logging all the for sale by owners? Are you getting them set up in some kind of a drip campaign? Like, how are you doing it?
I just went on, I go on Zillow, obviously, and just, you know, call them, but. How do I prevent like calling one twice?
Well, you should be calling them more than once. So what I would say is this, today you go on to Zillow or wherever that you're finding your list of for sale by owners. I would immediately put all of them, no matter what, before I even make the call. Every single one of them, unless now you want to cross-reference that on the MLS to make sure they didn't list, because they can still be on Zillow as a for sale by owner, and then they list, and it doesn't necessarily knock them off the for sale by owner block, right? So you'll want to check that. But then I would add them all into, if you're using Command for your CRM, every single person goes in Command, and I tag them for sale by owners. And then once I add them in, and now I'm going to go back and start calling them. And then from what happens from that conversation and I add my notes, I set my next task to call them back whenever I'm seeing fit. And that's where those call scripts come in each week. And like we had said, let's condense those. I don't know that right now we want to take for sale by owners and stretch it for 8 weeks. You might condense that into 4. So rather than waiting 7 days, maybe call them back in 4 to 5 days. And then you should be sending them stuff. So then you get them set up in a smart plan that you've created. And that's a series of emails and text messages that they can get from you as well. So you're putting them in a whole plan. It's not just a one and done. Chances of you getting appointments and getting listings from a for sale by owner from just one phone call are greatly reduced. It's in the process that you eventually establish those relationships.
So should I not even really like go for the appointment of the first call?
Well, it depends on how long they've been for sale by owner. So if this is a brand new for sale by owner, what do you think the chances if I just stuck the for sale by owner sign in my yard and I just put myself on Zillow that you call me tomorrow and I'm going to let you come take a look at my house already?
0.
Exactly. Maybe not 0, but a 0.5%. And so it depends on if you're pulling old for sale by owners. They've been on for maybe 3 weeks. Now they might be ready for an appointment. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it's always worth the, can I come look at the house? I would dig into those scripts though. You start with the first call being, how's it going with the for sale by owner? I'm a local expert in the area. Just wondered if you wanted some information. Did you know that the property disclosure and lead-based paint are required documents in the state of Ohio? I'm going to go ahead and email those to you. And then your second follow-up is, did you get them? Did you have any questions about it? Which might be a day or two later. And then go through that series of topics that you're gonna talk about through those scripts. Always remember the scripts, guys. If you loosey-goosey it, then you're not gonna remember who you talked to about what. If you don't log it and have a system in place, and you're starting in a good spot because you're starting from scratch in the beginning, and it's a totally clean slate, so you can easily keep track of all that. It's once you get in and then you're like, oh my gosh, where am I at with all these people? And then it's really hard to then you have to start over. So start from scratch, don't start over, and put a system in place and then follow it. I'm not saying don't call right now. You have a system in place. The scripts are already in the drive and you have the CRM. Just instead of just calling, add everybody in and work with them like as if you know this is building a foundation to be able to eventually get the appointment.
Got it.
And fill out the conversation. I mean, I wouldn't say don't ask for the appointment, especially if you're calling older ones, right? So, but paid more attention to the scripts and the topics of the scripts and getting them all in your CRM so that you can, so like everybody that you've called already, make sure that today they're all in your CRM, all of them.
Okay.
And then start emailing them some things as well. And the easiest thing to email a for sale by owner is a market snapshot of their house. And so all you do with that is go on the MLS, like you would set up a buyer in a search based on the criteria of their listing. So they have a house in, I don't know, Fairlawn, and it's 299,000. You're going to set them up in a search for houses in Fairlawn that are around between, let's say, for the for sale by owner, I would maybe go 20,000 lower because usually they're overpriced, and then maybe go 20,000 higher to range it so they can see what the competition is and they're getting that email from you. And I wouldn't say necessarily instantly, maybe weekly. So this way they don't feel bombarded with emails constantly.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Justin, tell us what's going on with you.
Great timing. I held a open house. I got a client that came in for their third time. They were the only ones that showed up.
Okay.
So they had seen that a month ago when I did the same open house before.
Oh, okay.
I asked them if they were really working with somebody. They didn't come up with an answer right away. So
Okay. Awesome.
she kind of gave a name and then I was like, well,
Yeah.
it showed them one house in like 2 or 3 years. So
Oh.
to me, that's not really working with somebody.
The next question though, here's what, when you say to someone, are you working with someone and they say, yeah, they've showed me a house. The next question is, have you signed an exclusive agency with them?
Okay, I should ask.
That's the next question.
There.
Yep.
Which I got advice later on. So
Okay.
when I follow up to ask them.
Yep.
The same question that you
Yes.
said and then.
Yeah, because here's another thing too. I had a buyer this weekend I showed a house to, and I said, are you working with anyone? And because I also said I could also come out and take a look at your house. I know they don't have to sell before they buy, but I wanted to always remember that most people are buyers and sellers. So when I said I can come out and take a look at your house, he said, well, we do have an agent for the listing, but we don't have an agent who's been showing us houses, which I find so interesting. Because why do you have 2 agents? Why? Here's why. Because the person that they've been talking to about listing their house never asked, can I show you something? So my benefit, their loss, I'm going to sell them an off-market listing of my own. I'm going to get both sides of it because of that. So that's why we ask those questions. So,
Yeah, because we had good conversations at the open house where you put the piano.
oh, okay.
We were literally rearranging the furniture. There's a golf course connected to, so we went out on the putting green to see if they could, because they were concerned about privacy and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Me and the husband actually walked out there and you can't even really,
Okay, perfect.
so their concerns are less.
Nice.
Yeah, I just told them like, they didn't come up with an answer right away. I'm like, well, basically posture up and said, hey, you know, I'd like to help you guys.
Yeah. Well, now it's all about the follow-up, you know.
So I told them I'd call them back tomorrow
Perfect.
and that would be today. So
Yeah.
it'd be a nice price, brand new home,
Okay.
$500,000 home.
Where's it at?
It's at the championship.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Oh, in off of Genoa or whatever. Yeah. Awesome.
Pretty fun.
Well, good for you. How did you
Other
get that?
option league.
How'd you get that? Oh,
Well, no, that wasn't from that, but that was from just the AAA team.
got you.
People wholesale.
I see. Very good.
And then I got some off-city leagues in Cleveland that. Actually, a few now that are actually looking pretty good, because a lot of them were like wanting land or they were. like,
Why
too
Cleveland?
away.
Why do you have opposite lead set for Cleveland?
I just expanded my.
I see. You
Yeah.
expanded your reach. Okay. Okay. well, good for you. So for those of you who don't know, you all have access to Opcity. Rich or each brokerage has a person assigned to set you up for that. Those are internet leads. I would say that they are valid, really good live transfer leads. A lot of people sell a lot of Opcity lead homes. They do take a pretty chunk of a referral fee, and eventually it tiers you up the price change. So that's a good thing there.
A lot of them weren't coming through for like Canton, Mass, and
Okay,
so.
Hmm.
Seemed like.
yeah, whatever you gotta do.
closest that were coming through.
Okay,
I'll work my time probably.
awesome. How about you guys? What's going on with you?
We were busy this weekend. We had an open house that we held for Eric.
Okay,
Went pretty well. We had about 13 couple that came through.
nice.
I think there's only one that didn't have an agent though,
Yeah, doesn't.
but that's one.
Yeah,
One group that
that's
didn't have
right.
an agent.
Yeah,
We are currently submitting 2 offers from some showings that we did yesterday.
Okay.
I'm confident about those. And then a couple of people from out of state from Opcity and Zillow. Leads that are gonna be showing this week, so pretty confident about them as well. Yeah, just a lot of smiling and dialing today.
nice. Okay, I like that.
So yeah, and then also just doing some role playing with my partner up here as well, so keep him busy.
Yeah, oh, good, good, good.
Question with the open houses, how long were they on the market, price range, and what location?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this one's Cuyahoga Falls. It's 179.9. I think it was on the market one day. But Cuyahoga Falls, it's like maybe 3 to 4 days on the market at most.
Yeah, I showed 2 houses yesterday, one was in Akron and one was in Kent,
Oh, Karen's fun too.
just, if it just hit the market, it was, Christians buyers, but they had found the Cuyahoga Falls one. And it just hit the market, but just to book an appointment to see it, you had to wait like not a couple hours, it was all day,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then it was busy up there, so.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, good.
That was about the same price range, a little bit higher, you guys are talking about.
Yeah, there's those sweet spot price range for every location that's gonna pull more people in particular to an open house, for sure. So, great. Good, good. All right, Janice, tell us what's going on there at Living.
Did you call me?
I did.
Okay, we were talking.
Okay.
Look, what do I have this week? I don't know. It's back to school week, so I feel like I'm scattered a little bit. So I do have a new listing that hopefully will be ready to go this week in Cleveland Heights. I think my clients are accepting an offer on they have an investment property, so we got an offer over the weekend. So I'm meeting with them today. And my Bedford Heights listing that was under contract, they released, and they didn't even have an inspection or anything. So I'm kind of frustrated because I'm like, why did they release it? And the agent's like, I don't know. No, you just don't want to tell me, which is fine, but I'm just annoyed because if they didn't really want it, I would have never taken it off because we had a lot of showings that got canceled when I went under contract with you. So that'll be going back on today. And that's all I can think. Oh, and I need to go. Someone referred. I got a call from an agent in California. She's with EXP, but she has somebody here who needs to sell some land, and she found my name. I don't even know how, but I'm gonna go take a look at the land today and look at it and see.
To work with a buyer or listing?
To list it, to sell
Okay.
it. Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know how she found me, but I'll take a Southern California referral.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I got. And then we have Sean, Danny, and Alex here today.
Good morning.
So
Good
Sean,
morning.
Yep, so just a follow-up, I did have an open house this weekend. I think I mentioned last week, there was crazy storms, so we did a round 2. And
Okay.
it had 2 showings, and Alex will talk about it. She held it open on Saturday. But the agent we've given feedback to so that hopefully they can, course correct their price situations. That seems like that's the holdup.
Okay.
But anyway, so had that, it was more successful than it was last week, so that's good. And I mentioned that I was doing the walking through neighborhoods and door knocking.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty successful. I told you that I had a map of the streets that I was hitting on different days, so I didn't hit the full neighborhood all in one day, but I did commit to the streets that I was on. And what I did was I did like a flyer on cardstock, and on the front I did the generic information of like, hey, I live kind of in your neighborhood, blah blah blah. But on the back I did useful information that if I met somebody I could talk to them. So I did like upcoming events in September.
Nice.
So I highlighted some of the events and then put some resource information like with website, for more information, go to the chamber website about the golf tournament or whatever.
I love that.
Some of the people that I was able to talk to, actually, I was able to share that information with them, and we kind of talked about different events and connected.
The important thing about that, let me mention this, is because they assume when you go to their door that you are trying to talk about real estate. And the point of getting them to hook and talk to you is about what's going on in the community. And then, by the way, I'm a local realtor.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's what I did. And to your point, now I'm following up with them, just the ones I spoke with, thanking them for their time and then getting them into my CRM as well.
Good. I can't wait to hear how all that turns up.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
All right.
Hi.
Hello.
So I did 2 open houses this weekend. The first one, I only had 3 groups. The second one, I had 7 groups out. Not a lot of interest for those homes, but I did get to talk to some people. Everyone who was there had agents, but I'm still going to reach out to them. And I forgot to say, because I was telling Janice about the people who came out, I made a home evaluation flyer that I'm keeping at the open houses too, if neighbors come through. And a couple people did take my home evaluation flyer. So I'm going to be reaching back out to them today. And then this week I'm scheduling a couple appointments with buyers, one of which is my manager from my workplace, and she wants to buy, and she's a first-time home buyer. So I'm going to be
Very good.
visit that this week. And then just like KWYP stuff. But yeah.
Very good. How about you, Danny?
Hi.
Hello.
So I don't even know where to start. So my listing appointment.
Beginning.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go back to last week, Thursday. I had that listing appointment with that $4.7 million listing in Canton. And I'm obviously here, so nothing happened. So that's good. So
Where would you be if something did happen?
Oh, a ton of people were worried that he had bad intentions.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah,
So I'm still here
Janice
to
did
tell the
text me or call me and say, you live very close to where he's gonna be, so be on standby.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had
Well,
everybody on standby.
yeah, Janice had everyone on standby, so couldn't be safe, I guess. So that went pretty good. I think he liked everything that I had to tell him. He's coming back into town on September 4th, and I told him we will be signing papers then. I'm not giving him an option. So that went good. I showed 3 clients homes on Saturday. That went really well as well. Today I plan on following up with all my OpCity leads that I have. I got 2 buyers pre-approved, one yesterday and one today. What
So
else?
can you tell us, where did the 3 buyers that you were working with on Saturday come from?
Yeah, so the one's a referral, one's family, and the other's OpCity.
Okay,
A little
perfect.
bit of everything, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, is there anything? Oh, I'm getting 2 videos of homes this week. I think that's all. I don't
So
know.
when you say videos of homes, you mean like you're videoing potential listings? What are you doing?
No, so one thing to kind of like break through into the luxury market and help other like buyers, sellers, just to get more traction is to video listings, do my own like videography of listings to post to my social medias. So I have 2 listings this week, a 1.2 in Chagrin Falls, actually with the Howard Hanna agent, my favorite Howard Hanna agent. I love her. And another one in Chagrin Falls as well.
You're paying for the video for them to use too, or is this?
No,
strictly for you?
no, I'm like, do the
Oh,
video.
you're
So
showing
like,
us.
yeah, just for my use. Yeah,
Listing, it's on my Instagram.
yeah, yeah. And I did one for Alex for her listing too.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, and Janice, he'll have already done it before, honestly, this
Your
office.
side hustle.
Yeah, I do not charge for it, which people tell me I should, but that's me though. So yeah,
Well, good. Lots of good stuff.
yes.
Thank you, guys. I'm not sure if Sarah's on here. So I'm just gonna move on. Oops, you guys keep on rotating. I'm gonna move over to Ethan. Ethan, tell us what's going on with you this week.
Yeah, I planned on being there today, but I had some car problems, so here I am. But I had an open house yesterday for Jose Medina and Associates. And that went pretty well. We had 5 groups come through.
How did you get the open? Did you just reach out to them on a house they had listed?
No, so basically I went on the MLS and like looked at our office and see who had the most listings, and obviously it was Jose Medina. And then like I met one of the guys over there at the picnic, and I had that connection on Facebook. So I just reached out to him and said, hey, if you guys need any help with any listings, I'd love to help. So built some good rapport with the one realtor over there. And she said, you know, they might have more coming up soon. So
awesome.
but yeah, I got about, I think one was unrepresented, and hoping they put an offer in. So tonight I'm gonna follow up with them at 7. But yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on. Just been working social media and all that good stuff. So hopefully open houses and posting ads will start boosting stuff.
Yeah, you know what I love? We started maybe 6 weeks ago, this open house contest, and a lot of you guys are really, so let me just say, one of the bold laws is what you focus on expands. So we've had so much focus on open house, which is so fantastic. And that has just expanded and expanded within each of you, but also within the group. So many people are so focused on open house right now, and that's expanding, and you're getting business from that. So great job, guys. I love that we can live those bold laws, which I truly believe what you focus on expands. So whatever that looks like each day for you is going to come true at some point. We just have to be patient and be consistent. So awesome. Great job, Ethan.
Thanks.
Mary, tell us what's going on with you. Our winner of Canton's open house contest. And I understood that Mark emailed me and said you weren't sure why I told you that you were getting an open house sign, but it was because you were our winner. You're muted.
There we go.
There we go.
It's on my phone, so it doesn't work as easily as it does when it's on my laptop. To multitask this morning, but I couldn't remember honestly what the prize was. And I had emailed him and said that Gina said for me to contact you regarding the prize. And he must have been out last week.
He was out of town last week too, so he was like, oh, what?
Yeah, I checked my email this morning, but I don't think I had a response from him yet. So I'm glad that you've heard from him, or if I have and don't know, that now I do know.
Yes.
But I am checking in with the for sale by owner that I've been working on for a while to see who she listed with and if the house has sold yet. I have been keeping an eye on the MLS and haven't seen it, but decided to approach her that way. And also I held an open house on Tuesday and got about 4 leads from that, but I've only had one respond to me and call and have conversation with me or reply to texts. But they're more interested in finding land, and specifically in one specific city, which around Mansfield is a very high area. Anybody and everybody would love to be in Lexington. So it'll be fun.
Nice.
But also I had a buyer that I had mentioned a while back that they said that they were going to pull out of their offer because of some family issues. And we waited several days to let them regain their bearings and to be able to think rationally, and they've decided to continue on. So praise God for that.
And I would say most times, sometimes things have to just slow down in the process with clients. And family issues is not a valid reason to breach a contract.
Right.
Unless it's that I lost my job and now I'm not pre-approved anymore. So, and it's hard to tell someone that in a way that doesn't sound pushy. So it's always best to kind of put on the brakes a little bit to give them a minute. So great job keeping it together.
Yes, I think the escrow money was also something that helped them decide, well, I don't want to lose this $2,000 either.
Oh, the earnest money. Mhm.
Yeah, earnest. I always get those two flip-flopped. So good.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's about it, I think. Thank you.
Okay, Sean, welcome back. There you
Hello,
go.
welcome back.
How are ya?
I'm doing very well. A little bit about where I'm at right now. Up until this point, I've been working at USPS. Although I was working a lot and didn't have any time whatsoever to dedicate apart from working there. So I made the tough decision to leave and pursue real estate full time. I was working 60 to 70 hours a week. And aside from that and spending time with my son, it really didn't give me any time to pursue this at all. And so what I've been doing so far since getting back in is pursuing for sale by owners, expireds, and withdrawals. And really just getting some momentum going back. Also, I'm signed back up for OpCity. So I will be pursuing buyer leads through OpCity as well. And spending time in the office in front of the window, see if I can get any walk-ins.
Nice. Well, good. Well, great, because those are the most recent classes that we've taught too. So lots of great info. You know what I need to do, Sean, is I need to get you back into the Google Drive and all that information. So shoot me a text later so that we can chat, because we did just, I don't know if you were on it, but we just taught a class on expires and for sale by owners.
Okay.
And I think we recorded both of them.
Okay, did you? I actually might not have your phone number anymore. I have a new
I have
phone.
yours. I'll text you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, great. Good to see you.
Likewise.
All right, Patty, tell us what's going on with you this week.
Hi there. Just like Sean, I have actually quit my job to do real estate full time. I have not been able to do as much as I have wanted to just because of the conflicting hours. I wasn't able to participate in the open house thing. I have assigned myself up for OpCity. I'm getting together with some friends this week. Like each day this week, I have someone I'm reaching out to from my sphere just to see how they're doing, see what if they know anybody. Through my old job, I found someone that is interested in a home. I'm trying to get them hooked up with Clifton to get pre-approved for a loan. They want to have some place that can allow chickens. So I have to research where in the world can you have chickens?
Actually, a lot of places. You'll be surprised to find out that there's a lot of actual neighborhoods that allow chickens. And there's a lot that don't, but you know, you're not going to get that like in a neighborhood of Ryan Homes, let's say. Something just slightly more rural, but honestly, even a lot of half-acre properties that aren't in a HOA type neighborhood, they allow chickens. So
yeah, I was thinking I might have to call some cities like I don't know if I need to call Louisville City Department and see, do you allow chickens, or do I need to call Alliance, or do I need to call Canton, or like where would I even find out that chicken information if that sounds
the city
weird.
allows it. So the city is just going to say, yes, we allow them in certain places. So it's going to be neighborhood specific. So here's what I would do. Search for the criteria of the houses that they're looking for, and then contact the listing agent and say, could you find out from your seller if they allow chickens? That's what I would do. The city's going to say to you,
awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, we do.
I know it's really
yeah. There's going to be obvious ones that come up when you see it's on a quarter of an acre lot in a neighborhood that probably has an HOA that's probably not gonna be one, but start with the house and then rule it out based on talking to listing agent. So awesome. Well, good. I can't wait till I hear that you find somebody someplace with chickens.
Some places will allow just as long as you don't have the rooster. So it
That's true.
depends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. You do see them though, like even around Jackson. I mean, I don't know that my neighborhood allows it, but you can be 5 minutes from Belgian Village Mall and see people with chickens. So you see them off of Mudbrook walking around all over the place down there. So
Well, thank you so
So,
much for the advice. I appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. Gianni, tell us what's going on with you this week.
Hello.
Hello.
This week is a little bit all over the place since I'm working my schedule around like my friends and family's birthday plans for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I got a scripting partner and accountability partner, which has been going really good. And I've been scripting 3 times a week with Germany and bouncing off
good.
a lot of good ideas with each other.
I love
And
that.
I think it's also really good to get advice from people with more experience than I have.
In a combination of things, obviously. So yeah, I love that. So that's great. And I'm
Yeah.
happy that you were able to dive in and find an accountability partner. You guys, there's everybody in the chat. I hear it every single day. Yes, I want one. Yes, I want one. Yes, I want one. And then I don't see people making those connections. So if you have reached out in the chat and you know, not everybody looks at the chat every single day. I'm well aware. I can see when I go in, it says last visited the site or the app, 10 days ago or whatever. So just reach out to me separately and then I will connect you with someone if you haven't gotten one yet either. And I love that Gianni's with Germany because she's all the way in Columbus through Elevate. So you guys have a fantastic network opportunity between 3 totally different market centers that span from Worcester, Mansfield, Canton, Strongsville, Solon, and everywhere in between. So it's a good idea it doesn't really matter where or what. And really, you'll find your way, even when it's 2 brand new people, it's about just doing it. So awesome. Good for you.
Thanks. My next goals are mostly like just lead gen. That's what I want to focus on. And with Emily's parents, I made them a CMA the other day and they looked at that and they thought it was looking pretty good. But I think they're shooting more towards like next spring to actually list and they're going to do some more smaller projects around here. That's also why I'm zooming today. I'm going to help her mom move some stuff.
Okay. Okay. So can I ask what about listing this year changed to make it next year?
They actually wanted to do painting the house and redoing a little bit of the kitchen too. It just ended up not working out because her dad got he does construction, so it was a little bit weird. He gets moved around a lot and with his schedule, he hasn't been able to like help out, so they were kind of behind now.
Well, here's why I ask. So similar situation. I have a potential listing, not potential, I would be listing this house. And they were thinking that they were going to wait until spring as well. And their pain point is that they're building a house and can't move until April, and they really don't want to move twice if possible. However, and same thing for them. They had thought they were going to spend the winter doing projects. And so what I said to them is, well, we have a couple of options here. What if I told you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that you could sell your house right now for more potentially than you can get next year because we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what you're going to get next year and without doing those projects. Now, let me pause there. Their house didn't have to have these projects done. By that, I mean this. There was nothing broken. There was nothing that would hinder the sale. They were thinking they needed to put in some new carpet and do some major projects like that. I said, if we can find you a buyer that would give you the price that you want without doing those projects, would you consider doing it now? And they had been. This is also the one that I showed their house yesterday to a buyer that they brought me. They brought me that buyer. I didn't come up with that buyer. And now they're going to sell this house. I will be writing an offer on that house today because I can get them to understand that there's more financial benefit to them to go with right now than to wait till spring. It's such an unknown. We are in such a strange time period of up and down. We just don't know what's going to happen with the interest rates and what's going to happen. The seller's market has reached its peak, is what I'm saying. So when you've reached the peak, do you think that you keep going higher, or do you think you start to decline? You start to decline. Even though it's slowly declining, we're already 1% down from last year. 1%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. So we just don't know where we're going to be in the spring. So I would suggest this, Gianni, if their pain point of moving, meaning why, the pain point's a harsh term for why, hasn't changed, meaning we no longer need to downsize. We no longer had a job transfer. Those are the kind of things that cause you to change your mind about staying. They might want to see why financially beneficial to list now and save themselves that energy and money, unless the house is in disrepair, which I'm assuming it's not, that someone's going to buy it. So like my people did not replace the carpet. They were so worried about people walking through and saying it needs new carpet at $400,000. And they didn't even think twice about the carpet, not twice. The buyers never mentioned anything about the carpet, and it's not in horrendous condition. There's no stains. It's just older. And then spring market, as I said earlier, is really the beginning of February, not April.
Yeah.
So I would have that conversation. So if they were my client, that's the conversation I would have had. How could we still get you what you want for the house without you doing these projects?
Okay.
So, and that's a possibility for sure.
Yeah. In the meantime, I'm trying to focus on social media and working my sphere. I've gotten a lot of messages from people, but they ended up saying that they want to rent instead. I mean, it's kind of like college age people. So, I mean,
Sure.
they're a little bit hesitant. So at least I know that I'm doing my job because they came to me and they asked me
Yeah.
about that. And in the
So
meantime,
here's what I'm
also,
gonna say, you're in a unique spot too. So like your college age friends are eventually going to buy a house in the next, let's say 4 to 5 years even. You want them to work with you. So the fact that you already got the hook and you got their information and they think of you as a real estate agent, now you have to add them to your CRM and start dripping on them, even though you know they're not buying right now. Same scenario applies. You're building a foundation. I promise you guys, especially that you people who are younger, how can I say that without sounding weird? But time goes really fast. And now that you're out of high school, time goes really fast. It was going slow and now it starts to go faster and faster. So what I'm getting at is 4 years, Gianni, is going to be here in a blink of an eye. And those people are going to buy a house and you want them to buy one from you.
yeah.
So by the way, do you know why time goes faster as we get older? Does anyone know? Maybe, but there's an actual reason. Anybody know? Just as a funny little tidbit. What's that?
There's less of it the older you get.
So you're on the right track. Here's what it is. Our measure of time changes as we get older. So a 1-year-old's measure of time is only 1 year of life. So their measure of time is 1 year is a really long time. So when you're 10, your measure of life is 10 years. Does that make sense? So the older you get, so when you're 50, your measure of life has been 50 years. So now my time goes really fast because that measure just keeps growing. So a person who's younger has a less time to measure, and therefore that's why time goes really fast. It actually does go faster because you don't have that same perception. So yeah, there's a little good news for you as you get older, besides the wrinkles.
I have
Awesome.
one more question before.
Yeah.
I'm also looking for shadowing opportunities, but where would you recommend that I ask about that? I wasn't sure if the PC group chat was a good place to ask about that.
It's not, so thank you for bringing that up. I don't think it's the best use of any, but well, I shouldn't say. There are people in the chat who've been selling long enough that they would be someone good to shadow. So let me say this. Every time I see someone go in the chat and say, I'm looking for someone to shadow, the strange things happens. The people who've never sold a house are the ones that say you can shadow me because they don't want to go on their appointment alone. That's the only thing I could think about why they would say, do that. So if you present it this way, is there anyone in the chat who has sold more than 5 houses that I can shadow on a buyer or a listing appointment?
Okay.
And it's no offense to the people who haven't sold any houses, but if I want you to learn good habits from someone who has sold some real estate, you probably shouldn't be shadowing someone who's at the same level that you are, not having sold a lot of houses yet, right? So
Yeah.
there is a good amount of people that are in phase 2 and phase 3 who sold a good amount of real estate that you can shadow. So that's one place. But also, as I mentioned earlier, Gianni, not everybody watches the chat every single time someone dings, a lot of conversation goes through the chat. But also, just like how Ethan said, he made a connection with someone on Jose's team, and that's why he was able to get that open house. I bet you if Ethan said to that same agent, hey, would you mind if I tagged along and shadowed you on a listing appointment sometime? They would say yes. So
Okay.
networking within the office, and I'm sure you're part of, and everybody at each office has their own Facebook group. So that might be a good place. Go in the Facebook group for Living, Elevate, Legacy. Hey, I'm a newer agent and I would love the opportunity to shadow someone on an appointment. And that's a great way. We're kind of just going through the roster and seeing who, I would go on the MLS to see who's selling most recent houses and then just reach out, introduce yourself. If agents are of the Keller Williams culture, they won't ever turn you down.
Okay.
And you can say it like that. Here's how you get what you want. You say this, I'm calling you because I know that you're of the Keller Williams culture mindset because Gina said so. And would it be okay if I shadowed an appointment? Who can say no? If you want to get a yes, that's the way you massage the conversation to get your yes. Trust me, I do it with my husband all the time.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Allison, tell us what's going on in Mansfield.
Well, I had a buyer and I showed her 6 houses. She's young. She's probably 21. She decided she was ready to make an offer. By the time she got home, she's like, I need to save more money. So I'm contacting her lender and maybe he can kind of talk to her to see, because I don't think she needs as much money down as she thinks she does.
Did you hear about the down payment assistance thing with cross country that Kate was talking about earlier?
Yeah, and I did tell her about that. She went with I don't even know the lender. Like I've never heard of them. So I don't know if she just searched online and found him. I did speak to him once, so they are legit, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think she just kind of got cold feet, so I need to just talk her down and maybe
I would present it like a second opinion. Hey, you can work with whomever you want, but if I could find you a situation, would you be willing to get a second opinion from a lender that could put together a plan for you, which can also include down payment assistance?
Yeah, I will. I'll give her Kate's information today to see.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. But so I've got her, I'm still working on doing handwritten cards and I've got my Indeed and trying to schedule appointments. I've got a couple that are interested in becoming agents. So, I'm just staying in contact with them. Got a couple in school, so going with that. That's about it for me.
That's good. And I love that you mentioned that because, although you are part of the leadership in regards to recruiting agents, all of you are magnets for people in your life that want a career in real estate. You should be thinking about building your downline for sure. It is income that just comes to you on the 20th of the month-ish. And it just shows up in your account for something that you've already done that was pretty easy, which is just talking to people about real estate. And, hey, it was even other agents. And by the way, I will just give you a little tiny taste of a thing that we're going to be announcing at the next team meeting at each of the market centers. We're going to be promoting a kind of a giveaway again, and we're going to test it out for a few months and see how it goes. But to help you all with recruiting, We're gonna be setting up a station out in the front lobby, which we're going to include the note cards and we're gonna post it for you. And every 3 cards you put in, you can put your name in a bin to be drawn once a month. And that's going to be note cards, not to your sphere, not to, thank you cards. It's going to be specifically to agents that are already in the business and try to recruit them. So what that'll be is something like, hey, Mike, it was so great with the transaction that I worked with you over on Portage Street. I wondered if you were interested in hearing more about Keller Williams. We love to have agents like you be part of our culture here, or something to that effect. Those are great little ways of getting agents that you're working with already to be able to consider coming over. You never know when you're going to catch an agent who, for some reason, something's going on in their brokerage that they're not happy about. And all it takes is a little interest in it was great working with you. And we love agents like you to be at our brokerage. Would you like to hear more about it? You're not expected to recruit them. That's where we come in. But it's just a great way to get your downline growing, especially with someone who's already in the business. Go ahead.
So let's just say, they're more up north and they join like Elevate.
It doesn't matter. I had a recruit in Hawaii, in Maui, actually. Yeah. Friends of mine that lives there, and he's at a Keller Williams there. Well, not now, but it's gone now, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter where. And remember, because you build a downline and then they start building a downline and they start building, like you all are my downline. And so like we're stacked. Tara is in mine and Mike's in hers. So I still make profit share when you guys sell houses. And then if you recruit somebody out of the state, it still goes in that downline. As I always say, it's a pyramid, not a pyramid scheme. There's a difference. So, but yeah, there we go. Awesome. Where did I leave off? Tresla, I know you're at work, so I don't know if you can unmute yourself, but this is your chance if you can.
Hello.
Hello.
So this week I got my professional pictures done. I did show one house from a buyer that I just ended up talking to at a baby shower. And then I'm following up with somebody who wants to list their house in Green. She's gonna call me this evening. So she had some repairs from those storms that we had that had to be taken care of. So
Is this our same girl we were talking about from before?
yes, she's contemplated either doing for sale by owner or having it listed. So you helped me with sending her that net sheet. So
yeah, awesome. Well, good. And then the buyer, did you get them set up in a search then? We did it. That's right. We did that when I was meeting with you. So the follow up with them now is, hey, did you get the information that I set you up in? Is it correct? How can I fine tune it? And then when do you want to go back out, kind of a thing?
So they did get the listing or the listings that I've been sending them, and then they did get pre-approved, but they said they kind of jumped the gun and they don't have that much of a savings to put as a down payment. So I didn't really know how to navigate or what to say in that instance.
So back to again, let's rewind to the beginning of our meeting today that Kate was talking about the down payment assistance program. So I would maybe potentially talk to Kate.
So.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, maybe she didn't know they needed that, or I would maybe reach back out to Kate and say, hey, do these people qualify for that?
Okay, I can do that.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Ben, take us home, and then we're gonna jump into some questions about dual career.
Well, I've been working my sphere. I had somebody that was probably a high C, got him down to a low C, but potentially work that into 4 transactions, hopefully, over the course of the next 2-3 years. My one client I've been working with, she found a for sale by owner she was interested in. She liked it. So today I'm going to be working with them, trying to see if I can get both sides of that transaction, and then just continue lead generating, and then just trying to build my sphere. I had an open house this past weekend from another agent I helped out. She offered it to me, but it went under contract before I got a chance to do it. So that was a bummer. But outside of that, it's been good.
Okay, so the one that you would maybe get both sides, that is a for sale by owner, you said?
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
she had
we might
driven
have
past
talked
it.
about this. You use what's called a one-time showing agreement. Do you guys all know what that is? Ben, do you know what that is?
I don't.
Okay, so when you show a for sale by owner home, probably before you even show it, you should be getting a couple things signed. One is a consumer guide, of course. Second is the one-time showing agreement. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to get a for sale by owner to let you bring your buyer. So Justin is my for sale by owner and Jeff is my buyer. You say, yes, sure, bring your buyer. And most times the for sale by owners does still linger around the house, but even if they don't, I bring Jeff in. He loves the house. The seller, Justin, knows that he loves the house. So now I've been part of making this connection. And then something strange and shady can happen. How about I sell you the house for 10,000 less and we all get a good deal here and we cut the agent out. And so the way you protect yourself from that happening is you say, hey, Justin, I thank you so much for letting me bring my buyer Jeff here tomorrow, but I need a couple things from you to be able to do so. So go ahead and give me your email address. And if you have a spouse, I need their email address and I'm going to send you some disclosures. One, do you already have a property disclosure filled out? Most times it's a no. So I need a property disclosure. I need your consumer guide sign and I'm going to explain agency to you. In this case, I'd be a dual agent. And we need to establish, as you said, Justin, you told me you would pay me if I brought a buyer and we're going to establish what that percentage is. Let's just say it's 3%. If it's 3%, then I only represent Jeff. And I'm not a dual agent representing you, you're going to represent yourself. But if you do want me to represent you too and be a dual agent, now it's 4%, or you can work that out. So on our agency disclosure way at the bottom, there is something in the third section that says dual agency, but I can check, I only represent Jeff. I only represent the buyer, the seller represents herself. So you do need to establish that. Agency, that's a law thing. We have to establish agency. So remember I said I showed a house yesterday to a buyer that my seller actually brought to me and it's not a listed property. I already established agency with both of them. In this case, I am going to be a dual agent and I am charging 5%. In any case, I got a one-time showing agreement signed. So the one-time showing agreement is in lieu of an exclusive right to sell. So you, Justin, you don't have to worry. I'm not trying to list your house. But we need to sign this one-time showing agreement that says this one day, this one time when I show Jeff the property, you're going to pay me blank percent for showing the house. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to market it to anybody else. And it just means if Jeff at any time should come back and make an offer on your house, I'm owed a commission. So you'll definitely want to get that signed. Chances are before you go do the showing. But if you haven't, it's okay. The buyer, it's okay. When the buyer's ready to make an offer, you need to get that signed immediately before you ever write the offer. Otherwise, you're writing an offer for free. Because how we get paid when we represent a buyer is if it's not our listing, it's because the MLS says they're paying us blank percent. That's our proof. That's the promise that we're getting paid. If you represent your own seller, it's your exclusive right to sell that pays you, right? So that's how we kind of sidestep the exclusive right to sell with the for sale by owner is the one-time showing agreement, which is in templates under miscellaneous forms in .loop. Just a one-page document.
Okay. Well, I will have to weave that in then.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great. All right, guys. Well, it's 11. So let's dive into what I had mentioned in the chat. So lots of great conversation last week about lots of questions and people discussing, time and time blocking and how do they work in another job. So as I said, bring your questions and I will also just touch on some things. So let's just start with what questions do you all have, in particular people that are dual career, and what challenges are you having with trying to work real estate into your day? So I'm opening up to anybody on Zoom or anybody here. Dive in with questions. Yep.
So I do e-commerce on the side.
Okay.
I was just wondering if you have any advice on the hours, because I can do e-commerce whenever.
Yeah.
Which hours should you put in?
So let's talk about that. So there's a couple things with dual career people. Some people that are dual career have a 9-to-5 job. And some people have other flexible job too. So it's either you have a flexible other job and you have real estate, which we know is flexible, right? Or you have a rigid schedule where you have to be someplace from 9 to 5 or hours such as that, right? So I would say someone who's dual career, who has a second job that is flexible, is going to find it less challenging because you can kind of work that schedule around it. So here's how I would look at, so again, back to myself, I have 2 jobs. I coach and I sell. So the things I'm doing, like right now, teaching this class, that's on my calendar. And real estate, like I'm going to write an offer today, that's going to be on my calendar some other place. So there's nothing I do in my week or my day that's not on my Google Calendar. Nothing. I promise. Clean my house is on my calendar. And if it doesn't happen when I want to do it, it just gets moved. So my clarity, and I don't have to worrying about my day and getting everything I need to do done. I'm a very checklist person. So everything I say I'm going to do today, I will absolutely not go to bed until it is done. And so you have to kind of have that attitude. And I'm sorry to say, guys, we all have the same 24 hours. And there's a lot of really, really busy, successful agents that have a lot more going on than we do, that do all the things. So I imagine like Jose himself wears a lot of hats. And he also has a home life. So how is he managing owning 3 brokerages, running a team that sells 1,000 houses a year, selling 100 houses himself a year, and then all the other businesses that he has through real estate, and still has a home life? And it's because he time blocks like a king, right? So that's how you have to do it. Gary Keller himself also is someone who's in the business. And so when someone says to me, I have another job, so I don't have time for real estate, I, 1, don't believe you. Or 2, I think you're not a good manager of your time, or you don't want to manage your time. Because here's the thing. You still have time out, unless you're working 24 hours a day, there's time to do real estate. Now, people who work swing shifts and things like that, they might have more of a challenge because they do have to sleep at certain times, but there's always ways of working it in, even in a small way. So for you, I would say you don't have to decide a rigid schedule for when you're doing one thing or the other. You can play with it every week. It looks different. For me, my classes, for all of you guys who follow the classes, they're not the same other than Dominate Your Week. It's not the same day and time. I move it around because I choose to. I want to make it more flexible for everybody. If you can't come on a Tuesday, then the class is on a Thursday or whatever. But also because of my own self, I want to move my schedule around so I can work things around it. So here's what I suggest for anybody, is this. Look at your calendar first for the month. And then the first thing I would do is this. What are the have-tos on my calendar for the month? What are the personal things that I'm doing? So like Gianni said, he's got some birthday things coming up. So those things go on my calendar. If I'm going on a trip, that goes on my calendar. If there's a football game I'm going to, that goes on the calendar. And those are hard no. I'm not changing these things. I'm not going to the Indians game because somebody wants me to come over and list their house. I'm not. I bought tickets, I'm going. I'm going to work it around it, and then same with things that I'm doing that I can choose, which aren't appointments, which is working on my database and coming to classes. So 1, personal things go on the calendar. And then 2, the calendar of trainings and what I'm going to come to and team meetings and things like that, that goes on the calendar. You can color code, get crazy, do whatever you need to do. But I don't care if you use a Google Calendar or you use a book calendar, whatever it looks like for you. It's not just up here. It can't be. It needs to be written someplace or in some kind of a calendar. And then I look at my week. So now I've got this calendar that has some things on it. And now I can say, okay, on Sunday, I'm time blocking to time block my week. So I time block to time block, right? So on Sunday, I might sit down and say, okay, my other job, these are the hours I'm working. And if you get to choose that, like in your case, then you get to choose when you think that would be a good time to put it on there. If you work at another job where they require so many days and hours that you're working, then that's on there. It can't be touched. It can't be moved. If you're expected to be in an office from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, that's on your calendar. And then now I look at the big blank space that I've got left, and that's where I'm going to work in my real estate. The have-tos have to be on there. Right? Now, if you have another job that you're able to maneuver things, well, that's great. Then maybe Tuesday I don't go to my other job at 9 in the morning because I want to do this other thing. But then you kind of have to play with it and move with it. The best, most successful people are time blocking geniuses. Like, you have to be a really good time blocker. We just did a class on time blocking. I've got a whole Google Drive of just time blocking tips. We go through the calendars. If we have time, I'll pull it up before we end here. But for you, if you're asking what's the best times to do real estate, there's no particular day and time. So what I would say is, you, besides classes, you should be spending, if real estate is your full-time job, or I have 2 full-time jobs, full-time, as far as I know, is 40 hours a week. So how do I fill 40 hours a week with real estate around my other job? And it's okay if it's not full-time, but if it's part-time, how do I spend 20 hours a week in real estate around my other job too? And I can tell you this, you can work part-time hours, 20 hours a week in real estate, and still get full-time benefits of the business, as long as you're actually actively working 20 hours in real estate. You absolutely can. I'll use an example. A lot of you guys comment about how many people come to open house and how many people you get from open house or actually work with you, and it's a very small number. But here's what I'll say. If I said to you, Dane, if you have an open house on Sunday for an hour and a half and you get 10 people, but only one of them works with you and you make $3,000 from that 1 hour and a half open house, would it be worth it to you? Sure. And that is what you have to remember. So same with you, Jeff. If I tell you, if you call 100 for sale by owners and only one of them let you come over and list the house and you make $3,000, wouldn't it be worth the small amount of time it took you to call 100 people? So the difference of real estate than working at a 9 to 5 is someone's not saying, here's Monday morning and here's what I'm paying you hourly to do, and this is what you're going to make at the end of that task. Because we're in charge of ourselves, we tend to think it should be more, and we're not successful otherwise. I would work for an hour and a half any day for $3,000 to achieve the possibility of that money. And that's why we do it. So have your eye on the prize that way. So back to your hours again, if I said, even if you put 2 hard hours in a week generating business and real estate that you'll put appointments on your calendar in the future is going to make you thousands of dollars, you would do it. It's just you don't see the money yet because there's a delay. So what I would suggest is, and this is a really long answer to your question, but I know this applies to everybody's situation with dual career, decide where's real estate going, because here's where people fail in dual career. They work at their other job and they come home and they do 0 in real estate, 0. Doing real estate doesn't just mean I'm out working with buyers and sellers. It's the work you have to do to have buyers and sellers. Even if you're on a team who gives you potential leads, you still have to work them. They don't just give you a silver platter lead and say, go show this house. They say, here's the internet leads. Now go follow up with them and get one. That's no different than joining Opcity. That's no different than working your social media or hosting an open house and following up with those buyers. I can assure you, no one is saying I'm too busy on a team and I need you to show me show a house for me. That's not the team, right? Then it's not considered a team. That's an employee who's doing a job for somebody. So you have to work it into your day. And I would say for you, it's wherever you want it to be, as long as you're spending 2 hours a day on lead generating activities, then you're going to have appointments that will come from that. Make sense? And so every week it could be totally different. My schedule is not the same every week at all. It's always different. The times of the day that I'm doing different things is completely different. Some days I'm spending an entire Monday on appointments with recruits and appointments and preparing for classes. And then I'm at 8 o'clock at night, I'm doing some kind of lead generating activity. So it just depends. Other questions about that? Nobody? So let me ask you this, who all is dual career that's on? Anybody else? I know Tresla is. Okay, so it's funny. I realized, and that's why I'm recording this. I said the dual career people wouldn't be able to be here today because it's 10 o'clock and they're probably at work. So that's why we're recording this. I'm gonna put together a class specifically on how to manage your schedule as a dual career person. But again, the answer is basically the same. Let me just pull up a calendar for you guys to show you what I'm talking about. There's no different activity. I guess that's what I mean. It's not different from what full-time agents are doing. It's exactly the same. It's just about where you put it. So I'm sorry if anyone who was here thought that I was going to have some magical answer about how dual career people can also sell real estate. The answer is simply you have to do the work, and you have to do the work when you have time, which might be less time. Here we go. So let me just jump into a blank calendar first. So here's a blank calendar. So this could be something that you use, or this looks like a Google Calendar. How am I going to block out the time that my other job requires? And then where do I fit all the real estate related things, you know, in there? See if that was.
Can I say something, James?
Yep, please go ahead.
So obviously I was recently doing career.
Yeah.
I made the jump, but one thing, and I know Tara told me this, she got it from you. What really helps whenever you have that client who wants to go meet right now, but you're at your other job.
Yeah.
You going through and explain, hey, currently I have another meeting.
Yes.
If you go through and explain, well, I'm at my other job, it loses credibility.
Yeah.
And also, oh, you're not available. But if you go through and you say, hey, I have another meeting at this time, I'm available here.
Right.
A couple things happen is they realize, oh, you're busy. And also they're gonna respect your time a lot more.
Yes.
But if you're constantly available to them, they're gonna expect you to be constantly
That's right.
available. And that's something I ran into yesterday with a client where I said, okay, I can fit you in this time frame, but this is a hard cutoff. I have to leave at this time to go to another meeting. And it helps them move along a lot faster. Whereas if you constantly are just available, it's a lot harder that way.
We
So,
teach people how to treat us.
yeah.
If you always answer the phone, even if it's 11 o'clock at night, then they will. It's funny how that works. Then the person who complained you never answered the phone, who called you at midnight, is because they thought because you answered the last 10 times at 11 p.m. that you were available. And now they're complaining. You're thinking, I'm doing some extra good thing for this person by answering my phone. And really later they use it against you and complain that you didn't answer that one time, and they forget to mention that it was at midnight. So yes, exactly. And so thank you for bringing that up, because another part of how do I sell real estate while I have another full-time job is the appointments. Most people don't have as much of a challenge with the appointments. It's doing the work to bring the appointments because you don't feel like doing it. Here's also how I know. I used to teach, and I have over the years, I've weeded in nighttime classes. I have, guys, a lot. I've had it on the schedule where once a month I had an evening class. That's what happened. Tara can probably tell you, because I can picture you at a couple evening classes. Tara is a daytime person. She's here in the day. And guess who came to my nighttime classes? The Taras. So now I'm dragging the people that would have come in the morning or the afternoon in at 6 p.m. in the wintertime in the dark, because they're going to come no matter what. And then the people that I held the evening classes for that were meant for the dual career people, how many of them came? Zero, a big fat zero. That's how many. I know it's easy. Let me track. It was zero. In any case, and here's why. And then when I would reach out, and I would even do personal invites, this class is for you, this class is for, even if I did it on Zoom. You're at home now, you worked all day, because I started doing it in person, and then I started doing it on Zoom, because what I would hear is, hey, so-and-so, I hear you when I hear you say you can never attend anything, so I've created this class at 6 p.m. Can I count on you being there? Well, by the time I get home and I get food for the kids, or I do this or I do that, I really don't want to come back out. Great, I'm hearing you. Let's just do it on Zoom. And now let's do it on Zoom, and still, guess who comes? You all come. And so why am I going to do a class? Because honestly, I don't, my schedule is very flexible. I can decide whenever I do anything, whenever. There's no reason that I can't do something at 6 p.m. I'm perfectly happy to do it. It's just, I'm not going to do the same class at 10 and at 6, because then what happens is then nobody comes at 6 because you all just heard it at 10. And we have so many topics and so many things to talk about. I don't want to do the same thing twice in one day. But I'm always open to, depending on the wave of people too. Maybe just that group of dual career people didn't have time to come or want to come. Maybe now we have a group of dual career people that would in fact come. So I'm always open to being flexible about that. And we can always dip our toe in the water again and test it out. But also we record things, and then they never get watched. So one, if you want nighttime classes and you don't come in, and then you don't want to come to Zoom and you don't want to watch the recording, how can I help you get the information then? So that's a commitment that it is going to be, you each have to make to your career in real estate. Nobody before you went to real estate school here at Keller Williams said, I think you should go to real estate school and we're going to figure out how to make this work for you. You all usually came to me and said, I've taken real estate classes and I want to come be an agent. So you've made that decision, and you knew that you had another job or other commitments. So therefore you're responsible. Although we provide all these resources, what we can't do is force you to do the work. So it's going to take that. But also, again, I'm more than happy to work with you all on, how can you work that in your schedule and teach some things in the evening when you're more available, if people will actually come. And I don't mean you guys who are committed to come in the day. I mean the people that it's meant for. Not that I'm saying don't come to the night classes. I would love to see a group of a combination of everybody. All right. So jumping into the scheduling of appointments, where it is a challenge, but how many of you guys call a dentist's office or a doctor's office and say this? Here's when I'm available to come in. Have you ever said that to a doctor's office or a dentist's office? Aren't they open during business hours? Maybe there's an occasional doctor or dentist that's open, has one evening day or something like that. But most of the time you're going to those appointments during your work day. I know that you're going to appointments during your workday that come up. If you've got something going on at your kid's school, they're not coming in at 8 o'clock when it's more convenient for you. You're coming in when they work. So the reason I say that is this: if I have a buyer who's looking for a house, they will wait. We're all adjusting to or fine-tuned to understand that this is a business and this is when they're open. So, hey, I don't like that Table 6 isn't open on Mondays. It's inconvenient for me. I want to go there for lunch on Monday. So maybe they should open up on Monday because it's inconvenient for me that they're closed. That doesn't work. So guess what? I go on Tuesday then. So it's the same concept. So what I say, just like Mike said, is, hey, you know what? That's great. I really want to show you that house. I'm available this time and this time. And strangely enough, most of you should know, most of your buyers and sellers also work. So rarely does someone want to look at a house at 2 o'clock in the middle of the week. They typically want to go in the evening or on the weekend. I mean, as I said, I showed a house yesterday at 10:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning, not at 2 on Wednesday, because that was when they were available on the weekend. So you shouldn't run into the scheduling conflict thing too often. But if it's a buyer who's really anxious to get in a house because it's going to sell quickly, you have a little bit more of an urgency than you do with a listing. With the listing, you shouldn't be taking right now, I'm going to come over right now, or let's do it tonight at 6. You have to prepare for a listing appointment. You don't just go right now. I need some information so I can prepare for the appointment. Let's schedule it for 2 days from now. With a buyer, that has to get into a house because, and they say to you, you know, Mike, I appreciate that you have other appointments, but you know, I've lost out on 5 other houses and this house is gonna sell quickly. If we can't get in that this afternoon, we might not be able to ever even write an offer on it. That's why you guys have this fabulous network of other agents here. And so if that happens to you and you're at another job, all you have to do is go in the chat, as you guys have seen. Hey guys, I'm at my other job or I'm on vacation and I've got a buyer that needs to get in this house. I'll give you $50 if you show it or whatever. So that's how you work through that problem with the buyer that has to go right now. Otherwise, it's, hey, I'm available this time or this time. And then they'll work around it. I mean, how many times have I called you, Tara, specifically when I'm on vacation to show houses for me? We can't be on vacation and here showing houses. Could I write an offer from vacation? Yes, and I do all the time, but I can't physically be here. So when that happens, it's no different than if I'm at another job. I mean, have I ever canceled a Dominate Your Week to show a house? Ever? No. Or for a home inspection or for a listing appointment ever in all these years? No. Have I ever canceled any class or any one-on-one meeting with any of you because I had an open house or not open house, a home inspection that just happens to be at the same time? Absolutely never. Absolutely never. So it's about managing your time. If somebody wants to do a, you know, inspection or a listing appointment when I already have 3 appointments scheduled with one-on-ones with you guys, it's going to be, I'm so sorry, I'm unavailable at that time, but can we do this time? And I've never lost a client ever in 25 years because of a schedule conflict. So what I'll say about that is don't let that be a limiting belief. A limiting belief is something that stops you and cripples you from moving forward because you believe a certain thing. So here's the limiting belief. I can't show houses or work with buyers because I have a 9-to-5 job. That's a limiting belief because again, if I sell houses every year and I never cancel an appointment with any of you or classes and I don't lose buyers because of it, then how is it any different than you guys having another job and possibly running into the same situation? And again, if it's an urgent situation, just call your fellow agents and have them show for you. Here's just another schedule of how you can work through your day. If you have another job, then you just fit it in on your week calendar. And then I like to do my calendar, my situations like vacations go on my calendar in the advance. Everything I can do to put on my calendar is automatically always there. And then some things are negotiable, meaning I can move it, and some things are non-negotiable and I can't. So I've got all these examples in the drive that you guys can look at. Let me see if I can scroll through another tips on how to plan your schedule. And as you can see, you can time block out colors. I would also say this, if I work a job that's in the middle of the day, you can do a 30-minute lead generating session in the morning and then one in the evening. Another thing about what Dane had asked about what's the best time, I would say this. When I'm calling people always at the same time of the day and I'm getting a lot of voicemails, I need to remind myself that's probably not the best time of the day to call them because they haven't answered ever. So now I need to switch it up to call them maybe at 7 p.m. because maybe they can't answer the phone during the day, right? So we're always moving that around. So there's a whole folder of information on time blocking from the class that we did a couple of weeks ago that you all have access to. Other questions about that? All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you all on Wednesday. Thanks.